But look, we're going to start with that breaking news. Premier League clubs will be asked to vote on the possible abolition of VAR for next season. The proposal has been led by Wolves and it will be heard at a shareholders meeting on June the 6th. Now, it's our understanding that the Premier League board is directly against the proposal. Wolves feel very aggrieved this season as they felt that many VAR situations went against them. This is what the statement from the Premier League spokesman says. The Premier League can confirm it will facilitate a discussion on VAR with our clubs at the annual general meeting next month. Clubs are entitled to put forward proposals at shareholders' meetings, and we acknowledge the concerns and issues around the use of VAR. However, the League fully supports the use of VAR and remains committed alongside PGMOL to make continued improvements to the system for the benefit of the game and fans. Right, some interesting news just reaching us. It's regarding Wolves, in fact, and all the Premier League clubs, because they're going to be asked to vote on the possible abolition of VAR for next season. It's been tabled by Wolves, this proposal. It'll be heard at a shareholders meeting on June the 6th. Now, Sky Sports News understands that the Premier League is directly against this proposal, but they recognise that Wolves do have a right to make such a proposal, but feel abolishing it would lead to many more incorrect decisions. Let's just show you some of the stats, because earlier in the season, stats showed that correct decisions increased from 82% to 96% under VAR. Now, Premier League officials believe the proposal would seriously impact the reputation of the Premier League as one of the elite leagues in world football. It would mean no semi-automated offside or in-stadium announcements to the crowd, and that the Premier League is pushing hard for that. A Premier League spokesman said this: the Premier League can confirm it will facilitate a discussion on VAR with our clubs at the annual general meeting next month. Clubs are entitled to put forward proposals at shareholders' meetings, and we acknowledge the concerns and issues around the use of VAR. However, they say the League fully supports the uses of VAR and remains committed alongside the PGMOL to make continued improvements for the system for the benefit of the game and fans. So, interesting thoughts coming from Wolves. They are proposing that they abolish VAR. As I said, that will be held and heard at a shareholders meeting on June the 6th. No doubt we'll hear more on that story.
Well, first to a significant day in the future of VAR in this country. Premier League clubs are set to vote against the proposal raised by Wolves to abolish its use. 14 of the Premier League's 20 clubs must vote, and Wolves included in that, and their motion to abolish VAR. But we understand that the majority of clubs favour the use of technology in England's top division. But those clubs do want improvements to be made.
Well, this is why I said what I said, because we played sometimes in games like that, and the Premier League sometimes will give you a game like that. But what I like about what he said, and Jamie was mentioning it at the end, and we were talking about it, so many times they were not patient enough on the ball. Every time they put the ball down and they tried to make 3 to 4 passes to go on the right and on the left, they did open up Newcastle, but they didn't do it very often. I don't know why. Obviously the crowd, they got bullied at times, they were over them, but you know, I think they got away with one tonight, Liverpool. But look, that's how it is. It reminds me of, you know, the other day when Arsenal won at Man United. People were talking more about Man United than Arsenal. Same thing tonight, but they managed to find a way to win it.
Through strength, like he said?
I'm not sure. I mean, you mentioned the duels in the first half. I thought Liverpool lost a lot of duels in the first half. And in some ways, people always say the best way to win is with a last-minute winner. Of course, everybody knows that. But in some ways, the way Liverpool won is almost the worst way to win, taking away the last-minute goal. But in terms of, like, you're being dominated, you've 10 men, you're hanging on at the end, but they found a way to win. So I said Eddie Howe and Newcastle will be so disappointed tonight. But in the morning, they look at each other. For Liverpool, they were absolutely ecstatic in that dressing room. But when the coaches and the players get back to the training ground, the AXA, in the next couple of days, we were like, we need to sort ourselves out.
I think he was talking about Van Dijk.
Oh, Van Dijk was outstanding.
You have to say at the very end, if you compare Van Dijk and Konate in terms of clearing the ball and the impact that he had on going and...
That's like comparing me and you.
No, but I think Van Dijk was immense tonight once again.
Yeah. Rob Jones has had a shocker here. He was booked earlier on for that tackle on Solanke. The second time he actually wins the ball, Adam Smith lands on top of him. Mike, I don't know what you think, but it's not a second. But they can't go to it now.
Yeah, VAR can't look at it, but I mean, he's played the ball in. Smith's landed on top of Bolly his ankle rather than the other way around, gone over holding his ankle if it's a really bad challenge. But for me, he's very unlucky, Bolly. Not a second yellow card.
Just explain again, Mike, why VAR
Yeah, you can't get involved in caution offence, cautionable offences, or it's got to be straight red. So, second cautionable offence.
Should that rule be changed?
I'd like to think it will be changed. That's what they're looking at for next year.
In what could become one of the most dramatic decisions in modern football, Premier League clubs are reportedly preparing to vote on whether to completely remove the video assistant referee (VR) system following months of mounting frustration, controversial calls, and growing distrust in the technology. Introduced in the 2019-20 season to reduce human error and improve officiating accuracy, VAR was intended to modernize the Premier League. Instead, it has become a weekly source of chaos and anger among fans, players, and managers alike. This season alone has produced an unprecedented number of disputed decisions, from questionable red cards and inconsistent penalties to offsides decided by razor-thin margins that most supporters believe undermine the spirit of the game. Reports suggest that several Premier League clubs, including some of the league's biggest institutions, have lost patience with VAR's constant interruptions, delays, and high-profile mistakes. Managers have repeatedly voiced concerns that the system has created more controversy than clarity, while players claim that its inconsistency affects match rhythm and decision-making on the pitch. Fan sentiment has also turned sharply against the technology. From stadium chants to viral social media campaigns calling for VAR out, supporters argue that the system has stripped emotion, spontaneity, and fairness from crucial match moments. According to the latest information, Premier League shareholders are expected to meet in the coming weeks to discuss VAR's future. For the technology to be removed, at least 14 of the 20 clubs must vote in favor, a threshold that insiders believe could be realistically achieved given the current climate. The vote would cover all aspects of VAR, including offside checks, penalty reviews, red card interventions, and goal decision validations. If passed, the Premier League would revert to traditional on-field officiating beginning next season. Several key complaints have pushed the league toward this turning point: inconsistent decision-making leading to confusion and anger among supporters, delays that disrupt the flow of play, sometimes lasting several minutes, communication failures, with unclear explanations from referees and officials, over-reliance on technology, reducing the authority and intuition of on-field referees, high-profile errors, which have sparked nationwide controversy and undermined trust. If the vote passes, the Premier League would become the first major European league to scrap the system completely. Critics fear this could lead to more human error, but supporters argue that football was always built on human judgment, and that the game was more enjoyable and fair before the constant technological interference. Additionally, the league may consider investing in improved referee training, introducing semi-automated offside technology, or increasing transparency during match decisions as alternative solutions. Whether VAR survives or not, the upcoming vote marks a historic moment in Premier League history. The decision will shape the future of officiating, the experience of fans, and the legacy of technology in football. As tension grows, clubs are preparing for one of the most important decisions of the modern era, a vote that could either end VAR's controversial reign or force the system into a complete overhaul.